again, it could be anomaly detection. It could be more predictive analytics, as I talked with the warehouse movements and the cost savings there. But it's really exploring, your data more, right? And then again, it all goes back to having good master data management. That's the biggest thing, right? Is your data good enough to get trained?
Are manual processes still slowing down your JD Edwards operations? What if AI could preemptively identify anomalies and streamline document management? Today on Not Your Grandpa's JD Edwards, we're joined by Drew Robb, AI advisor at ERP Suite, to explore how AI is revolutionizing enterprise paperwork, from automated data extraction to real-time anomaly detection. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how AI is already enhancing JD Edwards systems to improve efficiency, reduce risk, and accelerate insights, and how you can begin this transformation. Welcome to Not Your Grandpa's JD Edwards, the podcast where we simplify enterprise technology to bring you actionable insights. I'm Nate Bushfield, and today we are diving into how AI is transforming traditional document management and error detection in JD Edwards. Joining us is Drew Robb, AI advisor at ERP Suite, who will share how AI is automating routine tasks, enhancing data accuracy, and enabling proactive decision-making in JD Edwards environments. Drew, welcome. First off, how are you doing today?
Thanks for having me, Nate. I am doing fantastic today. Just working on a lot of presentations for customers and really showing the kind of art of the possible with these different AI services and technologies we're going to talk about today, whether it be document understanding, anomaly detection, machine learning, a lot of different ones we're going to talk about today. And also on a lighter note, headed to Cancun here in 2 days. So really looking forward to that. Some fun in the sun. So yeah, thanks for having me again today and excited and ready to talk about this cool new topic, right? So
heck yeah. Yeah, Cancun sounds like a lot of fun. I'm sure everyone is wishing they were in Cancun right now, so make sure to have fun down there. But you are our second reoccurring guest. Stu was our first, not to burst your bubble, but for those of the people out there that haven't seen our first episode together, can you share a bit about your background and what brought you into the world of JD Edwards?
absolutely. So yeah, as Nate said, I'm Drew Robb. I'm the AI advisor at ERP Suite. So I really help customers try to leverage artificial intelligence tools and technologies, but really be more of an educator and an advisor. And that's what you're going to see in this podcast, as well as other things we really do. Is it's all about advising, right? We don't just want to build you a product, an AI tool, and send you on your way. We want to teach you how to use it, promote usability, all that kind of fun, great stuff that you need. So I've been at ERP Suites for about 5 years now. Started around 2019. Started in the product space, and that's kind of where I got into more of the tools and technologies that we're working with today. As well as right after that, I worked in data analytics, data consulting for the company. And one kind of a cool thing we're going to actually talk about today is how we leverage AI services combined with data analytics to create what we coin as smarter analytics. So we'll get in that topic today. So really just seeing how that has come full circle and really showing that kind of these data integration, data analytics tools that we've used in the past can be more leveraged and better utilized with these AI services that have come out today. So yeah, that's pretty much my background and what I've been doing. So yeah, looking forward to today and our discussion.
Yeah. We're glad that you're here. Obviously, you're a subject matter expert in the world of AI, even more so than a lot of people at our company. So it's honestly always great to look into your mind a little bit to see what's new and exciting and the way that ERP Suites, but also the rest of the JD Edwards space is really growing and expanding into the world of AI. But without further ado, let's get into it. What challenges do businesses face with manual document processing and error detection in JD Edwards?
Yeah, a lot of times with that, just to be frank, it's a lot of our customers, and it's not all of them, but a lot of them are laggers in the AI space and really just the automation space in general. And the biggest thing is they usually do this when they do document understanding or anomaly detection. A lot of it's very manual, right? We talk about Excel sheets. We talked about just integration or just inputting and manual inputting into JD Edwards. It's all around automation, or it's all around just manual entry. And what comes with that is really one of the bigger topics we're going to talk about today when streamlining processes is data quality, right? Making sure your data is good, up to date, making sure it's correct. One big thing that we talk about and what we really highlight as far as use cases is improving master data management, because that's really, once you do that, your possibilities are really endless inside of JD Edwards. So that's definitely one place that we really look at. And a lot of times, yeah, these companies are just doing, sort of the inputting data. And really the biggest thing that comes back to is a lot of employees are just spending too much time doing these manual processes instead of doing more strategic business things that they can do in their business. And the biggest thing is we need to open up our employees to do those, right? And use AI as a tool accompanying you in your job, right? And I've talked in the past in kind of another episode that's called and on AI risk and remedies is about, not being scared about AI taking your jobs, but really utilize it and being a part in the partnership, right? Can actually help you throughout your day-to-day lives and your day-to-day jobs. So that's one of the bigger things. With that, it's really, again, it's just about automating processes. And we'll talk later on about kind of our phased approach when implementing AI. But that's kind of the first step you want to take, because you don't just want to jump into an AI journey and an AI solution right away. There's things you got to really think about, and we'll definitely talk about that here shortly. But that's the biggest thing is it all starts with that automation piece using these very cool tools that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to get away from like the manual entry errors
Yep,
or even, I don't know, delayed anomaly like detection or something like that, you know. But at the end of the day, automation is taking over it. We did another episode with Mo talking about orchestrations and what
yep,
that really brings to the fold in terms of JD Edwards, um, which actually came out. It was our second episode. So I mean, we'll see how that all goes. But yes, it's definitely something that we all care about in this space. We want to take away the human error in a lot of this data entry stuff and just try to manipulate it as much as we possibly can. But anyways,
absolutely. Yeah, you brought up orchestration, and I just want to real quick point out, like, what the power of orchestration is Mo talked about in that last episode with our AI services and combining those together. That's really the empowering piece right there, right? It starts with the automation, and then it goes from there, right? Into autonomous ERP, eventually predictive analytics, predictability, machine learning, all those cool coin terms you hear about. It actually comes with the mirroring with orchestration. So that's great. You talked to Mo, because that's work a lot with his team, and yeah, just
oh yeah.
the power between the two is important. So
Yeah, he's definitely an all-knowing being when it comes to that stuff too. So he's been in
absolutely.
the space for a very long time. But anyways, why are traditional methods becoming insufficient in today's data-intensive environments?
Yeah, what we're really going to talk about today, which is really cool, is document understanding. And really what you think about in that space and is kind of those OCR, so optical recognition, right? With those tools, really what they were is basically if you had a standard PDF or Excel file, Word file that keeps getting sent in, it had to be standard. You can only read one certain document with that, right? And with this, it's really it bridges that gap. And so let's say you can read an expense report. It can tell the difference between an expense report, a sales order, balance sheet, income statement. It just really leverages that, and you can train it on a lot of different models to actually learn from historical inputs. So let's say a customer is out there, sending documents in. And something may be, messed up. Maybe they're missing a letter. Maybe the price is a little bit wrong. You're able to actually adjust with that with kind of what we call vector databases, and actually store the historical user input, what they usually put in, and actually adjust it to what it should be. And that's really the cool part about this. This is not just standard automation. It can take it a step further. Again, that's where we want to start, and we talked about that before. But that's really the biggest thing, and it's really just trying to make the complexity of inputting data and manual processes more agile, right? And we go back to automation because that's where we start. but that's kind of the biggest thing there is really streamlining that. Um, and the traditional ones, again, as we talked about, it's all manual. It's OCR if anything,
Mhm.
but where we can take this further, and we can talk about it later on how we can leverage these technologies together and make it even better than just automation, right? So I think that's the
Yeah.
really cool part.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, we're trying to get away from human error. We're trying to get away from that
100%.
side of it. But also at the same time, we understand the people that are still on the human side of it, entering this data in terms of if it's a PDF, if it's a contract, if it's specific things that are in there, AI is still accounting for that human error, still adjusting to make sure that we are,
100%.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's, yeah, go ahead.
I
So,
was just going to say, just real quick, it's adjusting for that human error, and again, it's not going to be 100% correct right away. You got to start somewhere, and that's the ability to continuously train these models, and still have that, as you mentioned, human in the loop throughout this whole training process, who understands how the process works, whether it's just uploading a sales order or an expense report. You mentioned contracts. People understand how that process works. They've been doing it in their day-to-day lives for multiple hours in a day, even, right? So we want to make sure that it's working correctly. And that's why we continuously train, but you still have to start somewhere. It's not going to be 100% correct. And that's important that you brought up the human in the loop aspect, because we definitely talked about that a ton in our last podcast on AI risk and remedies. So
exactly. Yeah. Talking about training and making sure that
absolutely.
everybody is growing with AI. So if you haven't checked out that episode, please go watch it. We really dive deep into the human aspect and how that and AI are really blossoming together and how we can all grow together to reach a level of productivity that we haven't before. But back to this podcast and switching
Absolutely.
a little bit into AI's role in modernizing JD Edwards. How does AI enhance document understanding within JD Edwards?
Yeah, and this is just the coolest part. So one thing, and we have demos out on our website, or we're going to have soon, right? It's really just the ability to, go vanilla with your JD Edwards, make everything standard, right? It's getting rid of customizations and just adding simple buttons to upload a file. And then real quick, I just want to get in the technology behind that and how it pretty much works. So there's just going to be one button. Let's say you're operating with a P4210 for sales order entry. You'll have the button on the JD Edwards screen, and with that, all we're going to do is connect back to OCI services, other services we use. Now there's AWS services you can do the same. And again, it's using that power of Orchestrator to do the automation piece and connect back to those services and leverage that. So using document understanding AI services, we can connect back, train those various different sales orders. And again, they can be different formats, right? They don't have to all be tabular. There can be data anywhere. And that's just the power of training, training the documents. And then with that, you simply just inside of JDO, which you're not even working inside of OCI or the cloud. You're just clicking that button, you're uploading files, right? You can upload multiple files. It could be one, it could be three, four, five, depending on, what a customer service rep might be working with. You click that button, you upload it, again, using the Power Orchestration. It reads that document and seamlessly puts it into a JD Edwards table. Another really cool feature it will do as well is once it puts the data inside the JD Edwards table, the P4210, you're actually able to see the attachment inside of JD Edwards, and it will actually attach the document inside of there for more data validation. Again, that brings in the human aspect, especially when you're training it, right? So you'll be able to see all the data, making sure it's went in the right place, making sure especially it connects to maybe you have, pricing inside of JD Edwards, making sure the pricing comes through for the certain items that are uploaded. And this is, again, just one use case we've been talking a lot with customers on is the sales order entry. And it's very simple, right? And again, all that power is inside JD Edwards, leveraging orchestration combined with the OCI services. And that's the cool part, right? So it's very simple. It's when I demo, it's a 5-minute demo. It's the quickest demo you'll see, just seamless demo. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy how cool these tools have become and how easy it makes the process for
Yeah,
someone entering
exactly.
those every day. So
Exactly. Like it's one of those things that if you do it every day, you're like, oh, this is just a remedial task, no big deal. Yeah, you
exactly.
might be used to it. With this tool, with the different things that AI is really bringing to the table, it can take seem like not exactly the easiest process and make it seamless, like you said. Like it can just cut through all the BS and just go from point A to point B in a matter of seconds, get out of your hands. That way you're not wasting time. You can do better things with your time and be a better time manager just by utilizing some of these tools, which is fantastic. But can you explain how AI driven anomaly detection works and its advantages over traditional methods?
Yeah, I mean this is another cool piece. So we talked about kind of the document understanding AI service that we use in Oracle. Another cool piece that another cool technology tool we use is called OCI Vision. Now this is pretty sweet. So this is where you take images. So let's say, one use case we kind of worked on is detecting if pulleys are sufficient or they have issues with them, right? So it's just something simple. You can think of any product in your business, just taking pictures, images, and upload them in the JD Edwards. What this vision tool will do once you upload it, it will tell you if it's defective or not. So basically, if you go through, you can train on, I think we trained on like 5,000 or so images, and basically said this one's good, this one's not, right? And again, it could be less than that. It doesn't have to be 500. We wanted to make sure it worked. How we wanted to see how it worked. We wanted to test the service. And again, we were able to get some great indications there, and then start to send more, tens of thousands more images in, and then you could see how close it was. I think it was about 75% correct, somewhere close. And again, still the
Yeah.
human in the loop aspect, like as you said, of just like, no, this is not, this isn't a product this product looks insufficient. This looks like a failure versus this product actually looks good. So it can start to recognize images, right? And it's really good for quality assurance inside of your business, whether that be, in the manufacturing line, and other places, right? So inventory. So yeah, I mean, it's a really cool tool. Another place we're looking at for anomaly detection, and it's kind of using a different technology. It's Oracle machine learning. And that really goes into the anomalous transactions, the fraud, the duplicates, the, different financial numbers that may look astray or may be an outlier, right? Credit may be off, discounts may be off, something along those lines. Again, I'm just throwing out different use cases here. And it's really just about, looking inside, training on a model, training a data set, training just a table inside JD Edwards, and start detecting those anomalies. And with that, taking it a step further is being able to get rid of those anomalies inside of your data. And again, we're not there yet, but it's somewhere where we're going. So kind of two different aspects. One's actually doing anomaly via images, and the other one is actually with your data inside of JD Edwards. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we're going. And again, it still involves a lot of different training there. One thing I really quick wanted to mention with the anomaly detection, especially with the Oracle machine learning and even the vision aspect, is where we're taking it with analytics, right?
Right.
Being able to create a Cafe One page inside JD Edwards to create visuals inside of your JD Edwards environment, right? And again, it's kind of like we talked about with the document understanding, doing all the work inside of JD Edwards. This is what we're going to be doing too. We're going to create dashboards for detecting sales anomalies, as I mentioned, or doing warehouse analytics, detecting, if items need to go to one warehouse that might provide more cost savings versus a different one. That's stuff we're looking at, and that's stuff we're integrating directly in the JD Edwards as well. So it's all
Yeah.
still using those standard JD Edwards, applications like we've talked about, but just making them better, not customizing, but enhancing them with AI is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Obviously, we were talking about tools and like loosely, but what tools really facilitate these AI capabilities and how do they integrate with JD Edwards?
Absolutely, yeah. And I kind of highlight a few of them there, but it's kind of the same thing we talked about with the document understanding. So we're still going to leverage, when I talk about vision, it's kind of the same thing as document understanding. It's still a tool inside of OCI, right? But you're still it's all about still having Orchestrator in that back end process, right? For the automation piece. And that's still Orchestrator is still there uploading those product images inside JD Edwards. Again, creating that button inside JD Edwards, clicking that button, attaching product images up there, and letting the vision service actually read through and detect if the products are good or bad, basically, right? So it's pretty simple. And then with the Oracle machine learning, as I was talking about, with your more like your data, right? Your fraud, anomalous transactions, sales, just sort of those use cases. That's a little bit more deeper. It's kind of like a phase 2 thing, which we'll talk about later, how we kind of what we've been talking to customers about quick runs. This one is more of, we have a bunch of data. We want to run some anomaly detection. We want to do some predictive analytics on it. Let's actually send that data to an autonomous data warehouse, right? Just that data, right? Because we don't want to send all your data there. This is inside of OCI. Again, it's just a certain subset of data. We're going to train it using Oracle machine learning with those various models inside of there. And then from using Oracle machine learning, from there, we actually connect it to a large language model inside of there to actually create dashboards for you to go gather more insights about that data. And again, it could be anomaly detection. It could be more predictive analytics, as I talked with the warehouse movements and the cost savings there. But it's really exploring, your data more, right? And then again, it all goes back to having good master data management. That's the biggest thing, right? Is your data good enough to get trained, right? So that's definitely a step we got to take before, and we can talk about that when we talk about how to really get started with these cool technologies. But that's the biggest thing. It's leveraging orchestrations as well as OCI services, but still coming back to the end user is going to be working inside of JD Edwards, which they're accustomed to. Now, again, I mentioned JD Edwards, the end user can work there. These can also be leveraged in other places as well, internal websites, right? WebEx, I don't know why I would do that, but we're on WebEx today. But I'm just saying, like, these are capabilities, don't just have to be in JD Edwards, and these solutions don't have to be there. They can be in other places as well. So
Yeah. I mean, there's so much potential for where we're going and
absolutely.
where we are right now, obviously. But I'm excited to see what the future really holds. But obviously, we've covered what the technology really does. But how should a business think about like actually rolling out this inside of JD Edwards?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely, talking to customers, it's all about starting small, right? And starting from the ground up, right? And it's definitely taking one single process. We talked about the sales order process a lot today, because that's what is resonating a lot with customers. Like, their executives are wanting to implement AI into the business. When we're talking to upper level management, it's always like, oh, executives want us to implement AI. How can we get this going? Well, we have an AI journey that's a 9-month journey to define use cases. Well, a lot of times people don't see that as relevant. They need something now. They need some quick return on investment. So it's really starting out and starting small. Crawl, walk, run is something that Oracle has been saying a ton. So really starting that crawl and starting from that ground zero of just, let's say, we're going to do the sales order entry. We're just going to do that. Start with like 1,000 of them, or start with, 1 or 2 different types of sales orders that might look a little bit different that we can train on, and start sending those in. And again, have that human in the loop to make sure it's operating correctly. But then from there, right? So we can start there, and that's a good place to start. And even with the vision, you can do that as well, or even a subset of data, as we talked about with the predictive analytics. All these different use cases, or all these different technologies we talked about. You can start in that very single spot of just starting with one single process. And then from there, this can expand on. The thing about a lot of these services, they can integrate together. So let's say you start with document understanding, you bring in these sales orders. Well, let's say a territory sales manager wants to make inquiries on those orders. They want to know what's happening out there. They want to know what's coming in, so they can talk to their customers, maybe give their customers better discounts, or a better price rate. But that's the biggest thing. We can connect those territory sales managers to a digital assistant to actually help with that. And I know we haven't talked about digital assistants. It's probably a later podcast, because that's another thing we're venturing into. But it's all about building out the kind of processes and leveraging these tools in the right place, in the right way. And the biggest thing is, and we'll go back to that, the biggest thing is the use case, though. But above everything else, we want to make sure, especially talking to customers, talking to people, is the use case is the most important. It's important to have that discovery phase, understanding what is AI versus not AI in this world, right? Especially with the document understanding. What's important within that world? What's important for the anomaly detection, right?
Right.
But again, you can start with automation and then we can build from there in phases is the biggest thing. So that's probably the most important thing. Um, and then, yeah,
Yeah.
again, it all goes back to data. If you start with that prep work, clean your data, then you're in a good spot to move forward as well.
Clean data, crawl, walk, run. I don't
Yep.
know, man. I think you might in another life be a great preacher. Because honestly, at the end of the day, you got to start somewhere. Start with something
Absolutely.
small. Start. You got to be curious. You got to go out there and try
Yep.
to make the little tiny change. And if it works, you can expand the process. You can do so many things with AI, and especially with what ERP Suites is doing right now. There's so much potential out in the world outside of ERP Suites. Like ChatGPT, when it first came out, it could not do half of what it does right now. It is changed over a billion times. I don't even know what one they're on. I think it's technically Chat GPT 4, but it's like 4.2 point
Right.
something. It
Exactly.
keeps
Yeah.
going down the line of what it actually is. There's so many upgrades, there's so many changes you can make, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Start small, build the big.
Exactly.
Um, but for in terms of ERP suites, we can switch a little bit for this. What are the common like phases or steps that an organization can follow to do this successfully?
Absolutely. And I kind of jumped into that a little bit earlier, and it's really starting with that discovery phase. At ERP Suites, we have a journey AI journey assessment to see where you guys really are at on your AI journey. And again, you can start from anywhere. You can start from ground one. You're just starting to learn about AI, maybe some AI 101. You can be in the middle. You can kind of know a little bit about AI education, but you don't have any maybe use cases yet. Or you can have a use case, you can have a roadmap, you can have a plan, right? It really depends, but this AI assessment will really assess where you're currently at. So advisors like us can better assist you when we work together to build out that AI journey for you. The biggest thing that we're noticing a lot from customers, though, is a lot of this quick win. How do we get to that point? And that's really starting again. You still need that discovery phase. You still need to plan out and build out a good AI use case. Again, we have to make sure that these use cases are good for AI, right? And these document understanding ones are very good ones, and they're very easy to implement. They're very easy to automate, like we've talked about in the past. But again, it all comes back to that, that kind of phase two. What's important after you figure out a good use case? Well, you got to make sure the data is good. And starting with these subsets of data or starting in that one single process actually helps you understand that, or helps you realize that your data is good. And if not, we can help you with that. It all starts with that master data management. That's a huge piece. But another one's security. And we really didn't get a lot into security. We talked a lot more in the last podcast about that. But it's really just understanding your JD Edwards security, right? Making sure that's good and down pat. Now, the thing with the OCI security and the OCI services, it really provides end-to-end encryption as well. So with that, I mean, when you're sending documents in from OCI into JD Edwards, it's all encrypted from at rest and in transit. So that's huge, right? So the security is there, and that's all about setting the correct role-based security so that certain users only have access to those certain applications, tables, what have you. So security is another important piece. But again, it's still a quick win because you only focus on that subset of data for the data piece and the security piece. And with that, from there, it's all about developing the solution. And again, we've talked about I talked through the demo what it would look like. It's very seamless. It's using the orchestrations and the OCI services combined into one. And putting a button out onto JD Edwards, and that's pretty much, and that's the beauty of it, and that's what makes it streamlines. The development life cycle is a few months at most. So you can have a working solution in 2 or 3 months. Again, with training, we
Yeah.
still have that training, and then one piece that we still have to really think about is adoption as well, right?
Right.
With these end business users, we have to ensure that they're going to adopt these solutions that we're talking about today and actually use them because they've been so prone and so used to doing their day-to-day task of the automated manual entries. Now getting a new solution, is this going to scare them? Well, maybe a little bit, but they're now going to understand how much of their job they're going to be able to do now that they're not doing manual data transactions for 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day, right? That might be extrapolating a little bit, but that's the thing is they can make better decisions, strategic decisions now that, we've started with this ground zero, quick win, automated task. So again, just
Right.
everything is condensed and you get that quick win into your business. And again, as I mentioned before with the digital assistant, there's other solutions out there. We can build off of this with other AI solutions. So, but it's a
Yeah.
good starting
So
point.
yeah. So it's really about creating a controlled, testable rollout,
Absolutely.
starting smart, learning fast, and scaling when the time is right.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
100%. Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah. When the time is right, when you're comfortable, right? Everybody's comfortable. That's another big piece is, you know, everybody's really educated on how to use, the AI solution. Again, we're building the product, but what does it really mean? And how much is it going to implement your business and what's the ROI? We always come back to that, but is it really going to be efficient? Is it going to be impactful? It's going to be innovative for sure, and that's what's going to get you, ahead of your competitors. And that's the biggest reason why this buzzword AI is going around so much. It's creating that competitive advantage with these quick wins because you have something that your other competitors might not have, right? And then you can always just build off of that and build more. So,
Exactly. Scalable. I mean,
yep,
it can change your business. It really can. And
100%.
that's what's great about AI. Yes, it is a buzzword. It's something that everybody's talking about right now, but at the end of the day, it really is impactful. It really can transform your business from a data standpoint. It can make all these remedial tasks automate automated and really increase production and increase productivity. There's so many possibilities for this one tool, we'll call it. Obviously, the one idea of AI is actually a multitude of tools.
Yep,
But it really is game changing, and I understand why it is such a buzzword because there's so many possible things that you can really do with it and utilize. But if you're interested in leveraging AI to enhance your JD Edwards operations, download our free AI starter guide at learn.erpsuites.com/AI starter guide. This resource offers practical steps to begin integrating AI into your workflows effectively. That concludes this episode of Not Your Grandpa's JD Edwards. A big shout out to you, Drew, for sharing
yep,
insights on how AI is reshaping document management and anomaly detection at JD Edwards. But if you're ready to modernize your operations, download our AI starter guide. The link will be in the description below. Like, subscribe, whatever you want to do, but start your journey. The main thing that we want you to get out of this is start your journey. And remember, keep your tech modern, your data clean, and your paperwork smart. Thank you.